The Sahara is a vast and magnificent desert. It is the largest hot desert in the entire world, a sea of sand and rock that stretches across the northern part of Africa. Imagine a place so big that it touches the Atlantic Ocean on one side and the Red Sea on the other. For thousands of years, this immense landscape seemed like an impossible barrier, separating the cultures of North Africa from those in the lands below, what we call Sub-Saharan Africa. The sun beats down with incredible force, and water is a rare and precious thing. Yet, even in this harsh environment, life has found a way not just to survive, but to connect. For centuries, people wondered how to cross this great expanse. The answer came with an extraordinary animal, perfectly suited for this challenging world. This creature was the dromedary camel. Camels are often called the ships of the desert, and for very good reason. They can travel for many days without needing to drink water, storing it in their bodies. Their wide, flat feet act like snowshoes, helping them walk on the soft, shifting sand without sinking. Their long eyelashes protect their eyes from sandstorms, and they can even close their nostrils to keep the dust out. Without the camel, this vital connection across the Sahara might never have happened. To travel safely across such a difficult land, people formed large groups called caravans. A caravan was like a moving town, sometimes with thousands of camels and hundreds of people journeying together. These were made up of skilled traders, guides who knew the desert like the back of their hand, and guards to protect the valuable goods they carried. The guides navigated using the stars at night and the position of the sun during the day. They knew the secret locations of oases, the life-giving springs of water where the entire caravan could rest, replenish their supplies, and prepare for the next leg of their incredible journey. The journey was long and perilous, often taking several months to complete. The caravans moved slowly, step by step, across endless dunes and rocky plateaus. They faced the dangers of extreme heat during the day and freezing cold at night. There was always the risk of getting lost or being caught in a sudden blinding sandstorm that could last for days. Yet, for the promise of great wealth and the exchange of precious goods, brave merchants and travelers were willing to face these incredible challenges. They followed ancient paths, passed down through generations, connecting worlds that would otherwise have remained completely separate. The caravans did not make this dangerous journey for nothing. They carried treasures that were highly desired in different parts of the world. From the kingdoms of West Africa, deep within the continent, came one of the most sought-after materials in history, gold. The mines of West Africa were incredibly rich, producing vast quantities of this gleaming yellow metal. Rulers in Europe and the Middle East craved this gold to make coins, jewelry, and beautiful objects. The caravans would load their camels with gold dust and nuggets, beginning the long trip north to the markets on the Mediterranean coast. This flow of gold made many people astonishingly wealthy. In return, the merchants traveling south brought a surprisingly simple, yet equally vital, commodity: salt. In the hot climate of sub-Saharan Africa, salt was not just a way to flavor food, it was essential for life. People needed it to preserve their food and to replace the salt their bodies lost through sweat. In some places, salt was so valuable that it was traded for an equal weight of gold. The salt was mined in huge blocks from ancient dried-up seabeds in the heart of the Sahara, in places like Tagaza. These heavy slabs were loaded onto camels and transported south, where they were worth a fortune. But gold and salt were not the only goods being traded across this vast desert. The caravans were filled with a diverse array of items, creating a rich tapestry of commerce. From the south came other precious materials like ivory, carved from the tusks of elephants, and the skins of exotic animals such as leopards. They also brought enslaved people, a tragic but significant part of this trade network. From the north, merchants brought colorful textiles, beautiful glass beads, finely crafted weapons, and horses. This exchange of goods meant that people in West Africa could own things made in Europe or the Middle East, and vice versa. This trade was so much more than just a simple exchange of items. It was a powerful engine for change, shaping the economies of three continents: Africa, Europe, and Asia. The wealth generated by the Trans-Saharan trade routes fueled the growth of powerful empires in West Africa, such as the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai empires. These kingdoms controlled the flow of gold, taxing the caravans that passed through their lands and becoming incredibly powerful as a result. The trade connected the African interior to the wider world, making it an essential part of the global economic system of the time. As trade flourished, incredible cities began to rise from the sands, like jewels in the desert. These cities were located at key points along the trade routes, often on the edge of the Great Desert, where caravans would stop to rest and trade their goods. Two of the most famous of these were Timbuktu and Gao, which became legendary centers of wealth and commerce. Here, merchants from the north, with their salt and manufactured goods, met with traders from the south, who brought gold and ivory. The markets of these cities were vibrant places, filled with people from different cultures, speaking many languages, and exchanging goods from distant lands. The immense wealth from the trade in gold and salt transformed these cities. Rulers and wealthy merchants built magnificent mosques, grand palaces, and sprawling public buildings. The architecture was unique, often using mud brick to create stunning structures that blended perfectly with the desert environment. Timbuktu, in particular, became a name known throughout the world, a symbol of almost unimaginable riches. Stories of its golden roofs and wealthy kings, like the famous Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire, spread far and wide, capturing the imagination of people in Europe and the Middle East, and inspiring many to seek out this fabled city. But these cities were not just rich in gold, they became rich in knowledge. With the trade caravans came scholars, poets, and religious teachers. Timbuktu especially grew into one of the world's most important centers of learning. It was home to the famous University of Sankore, which was not a single building but a collection of independent schools. Students and scholars came from all over the Islamic world to study subjects like law, medicine, astronomy, and philosophy. The city became a major hub for the book trade, with scribes creating beautiful handwritten copies of important texts. At its peak, Timbuktu's libraries held more books than many cities in Europe. The cultural importance of these trade cities cannot be overstated. They were true melting pots where ideas were exchanged just as freely as goods. The religion of Islam spread along these trade routes, and it blended with local African traditions to create a unique cultural identity. Art, music, and storytelling flourished, influenced by the diverse people who passed through. These cities were beacons of civilization and intellectual life, proving that the desert, often seen as an empty space, could in fact be the very heart of a thriving and sophisticated society. The knowledge gathered in Timbuktu's libraries is a testament to this golden age of learning. Like all great things, the era of the Grand Camel caravans eventually began to change. For centuries, the Trans-Saharan routes had been the main highway connecting West Africa to the rest of the world. However, in the 15th century, a new way of traveling began to emerge. Explorers from Europe, particularly Portugal, started to sail down the coast of West Africa. They built ships that could navigate the powerful ocean currents, allowing them to bypass the long and difficult desert journey altogether. It was now possible to trade directly with the coastal regions, sailing straight to the source of the gold. This shift from land to sea had a profound impact on the old trade routes. The cities of the Sahara, which had thrived because of their strategic position, slowly began to lose their importance. The flow of gold was diverted from the desert paths to the new European trading posts on the coast. With less trade passing through, the great desert cities like Timbuktu and Gao started to decline. Their wealth dwindled and their power faded. The world was changing, and the new sea routes offered a faster and more efficient way to conduct international commerce, leaving the once vital desert crossings to become quieter. Despite their decline, the Trans-Saharan trade routes did not disappear completely. Smaller, more local trade continued, and the routes are still used by some people today, though on a much smaller scale. Trucks have now replaced many of the camel caravans, carrying goods across the sand. The legacy of these ancient paths, however, is far greater than the trade itself. They forged deep and lasting connections between different cultures and peoples. They spread ideas, technologies, and beliefs across a vast continent, shaping the history of Africa and the world in ways that we can still see today. Remembering the story of the Trans-Saharan trade routes is immensely important. It reminds us that Africa has always been a continent of great empires, vibrant cultures, and global connections. It challenges the old idea of the Sahara as just an empty barrier and shows it instead as a bridge that brought people together. The history of these routes is a history of human ingenuity, endurance, and the powerful desire to connect with one another. It is a story written in the sands, a testament to a time when camels were ships and the desert was an ocean of opportunity, an essential chapter in the shared history of our planet.